Well, we just had a taste on this evening. First and foremost, Dr. Cheryl, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you all. I mean, the women that today were absolutely phenomenal. And we just had a little taste of showing up and conquering, crushing defeat at every level. And can I tell you, when it is your turn to emerge into a different place, when you are breaking barriers, such as Dr. Cheryl, she just made mention, just on yesterday, she was feeling a little sad in her emotions. She didn't even realize she was already in my story, because when we have a responsibility to break barriers and to be trailblazers, there are things, defeat tries to crush us. But if you could just put in the chat already, defeat will not crush me. Put in the chat, show up and conquer. Put in the chat, show up and conquer. So if I were to ask you, what does defeat look like? What would you say? If I were to ask you, what does defeat look like? What would you say? I need you to put it in the chat. What does defeat look like to you? What does defeat look like to you? I am here to give you some practical keys and tools on how to show up and conquer and crush defeat at every level. Why do I say every level? Because life is going to show up. It's not if it shows up, but it's when it shows up. And life has the tendency of showing up at different places and times, showing up with different people, places, and things. And we have to have the capacity to show up in the thing that seeks to try and defeat us. Someone say, I will not be defeated. Put it in the chat. I feel this thing tonight. Put it in the chat. I feel this tonight. Put it in the chat. Defeat will not crush me. So number one, we have to be able to identify where we are. That is doing an accurate assessment of where you are. Ladies, we've already heard one of our sisters earlier talk about wearing masks. And ladies, we are good for wearing masks. But if we're going to show up and conquer and crush defeat at every level, we have to remove the masks. We have to be honest with ourselves. If it hurts, ladies, say it hurts. If you say, I've never been here, say I've never been here. If I don't know what to do, say, God, I don't know what to do. But whatever you do not act like it does not exist. Complete and honest assessment of where you are. Because after all, they form your belief system. Thoughts create feelings. Feelings create actions. And actions, what do? They create results. Actions create results. We need to be able to identify where we are emotionally. Dr. Cheryl just said it. Ladies and gentlemen that are here with us, we are emotional beings. We are emotional feelers. So for us, we have to have emotional intelligence. We have to be emotionally strong if we are going to show up and conquer. Because when we are in places of vulnerability, that's when we just feel like a train wreck, right? When pressure comes upon us, when stress comes upon us, we are an emotional wreck. We start crying. The man is like, baby, what you crying for? Then we blaming it on him. And I don't know what's wrong. Why? Because we are emotional feelers. We are emotional feelers. So it's very important that we are able to identify where we are emotionally. And not only identify it, we must manage our emotions. We must manage our emotions. When feelings of sadness, depression, embarrassment, hopeless, all of those things come, we have to know how to effectively manage them. It's very important, effectively manage them. How do you manage your emotions? Number one, know you are in control, my loves. You do not give your emotions permission to make you acting like a crazy woman. We have to be able to manage our emotions. That's very, very important. Manage your emotions. We have to locate them, though, and then annihilate. We have to locate the emotion and then annihilate it. What does annihilate? It means to defeat, to crush, to conquer. We have to annihilate those negative emotions. Do not allow them to rule. You have to be able to be confident in yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, everything begins with you. We are not playing the blame game. It's not their fault. It's not his fault. It's not her fault. Be in control of you. Be confident in yourself. If you believe it'll happen, guess what, boo? It'll happen. On the flip side, if you believe that it won't, it won't. So no, be confident in yourself. You must have the capacity. You must have the capacity to see beyond where you are. You must have vision beyond sight. I'll say it again. You must have vision beyond sight. If you are going to show up and conquer and crush defeat at every level, you have to have vision beyond sight. And that's what I had to have, my friends. In 2013, I had to have vision beyond sight when at that time it looked like I went through one of the worst seasons of my life. I remember it like it was yesterday. May the 6th, 2013, I was sabotaged out of my place of employment. I didn't say I lost my job. I said I was sabotaged out of it. We're talking about showing up and conquering, crushing defeat at every level. May the 6th, 2013, I was sabotaged out of my job. May the 13th, 2013, I had to move out of my home. May the 26th, 2013, I heard the tow truck and the chains coming to repossess my car, all while going through a divorce. All while going through a divorce. In the span of 2 weeks, everything that I felt like that I had was gone. And I can remember saying to myself, I have nothing left tangibly. And my friends, can I tell you, for about a month, my 6-year-old sister's bedroom became home for myself and my 3 children. And can I tell you, a month after that, a homeless shelter became home for 8 months for me and my family. Yes, I was homeless for 8 months. And I don't mean with friends. I was in a homeless shelter for 8 months. That became home for me and my children. And when I was in that shelter, I had to have vision beyond sight. There were times when I had to leave from in front of my children because I didn't want them to see me cry. I had to show up and conquer, and I had to defeat it on every level. I had to crush defeat at every level. I had to say to myself, this will not beat me. If I had to go into the other room, I did not have a car, so I waited on that bus stop, and I did not allow defeat to crush me because I understood that failure is not a person, it is an event. I still had my confidence. I need y'all to hear this. I still had vision beyond sight. And I'll never forget, you all, I was walking to the dumpster. One day. And I had one of those days, Dr. Cheryl, like you had on yesterday. I was heavy. We had those days. And when we're heavy, you really have to watch your thought process when we're in vulnerable moments, because that's when the coward of the devil starts coming and trying to just flood us. And so I heard all of these. Well, what are you going to do now? You might as well go back. It's nothing here for you. You might as well go back. And then the conqueror rose up in me, and I said, there is no back. I was at the point of no return. I need somebody to put it in the chat. You're at the place of no return. It doesn't matter how uncomfortable it feels. You are emerging to a place that you have never been in your entire life. Do not allow comfortability to pull you back into a safe place. You are at the point of no return. I need to see it in the chat. I am at the point of no return. I will not go back. It does not matter how uncomfortable it is. Because as long as you keep moving, baby, can I tell you, you will blaze that trail. As long as you keep moving, sweetheart, can I tell you, you will demolish barriers. You will break generational curses. As long as you keep moving, we're talking about showing up and conquering and defeating, crushing defeat at every level. Crushing defeat at every level. You have to be able to see where you are. You have to identify your coping mechanisms. Identify your coping mechanisms. When life shows up, what is your call to action? When life shows up, what is your call to action? What is your call to action? What is your response when life shows up? Is adversity a trigger for you? When adversity comes, do you sink or do you swim? Now, the only way we're going to show up and conquer, my loves, is to be able to do what? Have honest assessment. Because you won't be able to show up and conquer if you're not willing to identify, you know what? when adversity happens, I do kind of shrink back. And it's okay, boo. Because guess what? That's the only step. True transformation is derived of two things: transparency and authenticity. So if you are honest with yourself, I do need to work on that, then that's when you can work on it. That's when you can work on it. Is rejection a trigger for you? When someone tells you no, is that a trigger for you? How do you cope with challenges? It's very important to be able to locate those things. And then take on productive coping mechanisms. Identify what it is. And can I tell you all, simultaneously, while I was dealing with the embarrassment of being homeless, while I was dealing with, my children have to get off of the school bus and everybody knowing, oh, that's the shelter they live in. When I had to deal with all of that, I still had to deal with, hear me, ladies, I still had to deal with the different pockets of the pain that my divorce caused me. And the reason why I say pockets of pain, because they just were. I had to go through the pocket of pain called rejection. I had to go through the pocket of pain called unforgiveness. I had to go through the pocket of pain called embarrassment because everybody knew my business all around the town. I had to go through the pocket of pain of anger because I had to really ask myself, did I just waste all of these years in my life? Ladies, we're talking about doing honest assessment. I had to go through the pocket of pain of being vulnerable and being a single mother. I had to go through those pockets of pain. It's very important. You cannot get over something by acting as if it doesn't exist. Because can I tell you, my loves, it is showing up in some area of your life. And it just could be showing up in the area, and it could be way down in that basement. Somebody come over your house and you, okay, come on, baby, welcome, but you can't go in that room. It's probably in that room because you failed to deal with it. That room is preventing you from showing up and conquering. That room that you put the lock on, that you never came out of, is preventing you. So I challenge you to show up and conquer and crush defeat at every level.